All right, so what did the market look like today? The all-share bled, I must tell you. More than 1,000 points lost since yesterday as miners led the losses. It comes as commodity prices slipped. Banks were also hit very hard as the Rand weakened. Let's get more insights now from Nick Kunze. He's from Sanlam Private Wealth, unpacking those developments. Well, let's just start with the overall market scene there. Pretty red, Nick. And look, I would imagine multiple factors. You've got the regulatory issues in China, commodity prices where they are. What's behind today's bleeding?
Yeah, evening, Devan. Yeah, not a pretty day to be in the office at all. As you said, lots of red across the screen. A number of factors we can put it down to. First and foremost, just general commodities taking a bit of a smack. A bit of a risk-off mood. Wall Street was led lower. China this morning, you mentioned the regulatory authorities still hanging over. So trying to sift through all of that and find some good news hasn't been easy. And yeah, 1,000-point day on the JSE, it wasn't pretty.
And as a consequence, I mean, we saw the Rand also losing a significant chunk against the US dollar. It's been doing that for some time this week. I'm wondering if the JP Morgan remarks earlier in the week to sell off the Rand had something to do with it. Is that residue still there, or is just this risk off? Because that weakness against the dollar was quite pronounced today.
Yeah, I think that certainly added to it, Devan, that the JP Morgan notes, as you pointed out, telling their clients to the good news is already baked into the Rand to sell it as the risk increases, and that's exactly what's happened. And as we well know, often the Rand moves as a proxy to world risk, not necessarily the ups and downs of our own economy. And you saw that Turkish lira sold off today as well as a couple of other EM currencies. But yeah, the Rand, as you said, I mean, it was trading, looked like it was going to break 14 just a week or so ago. I mean, what a difference a week makes, 14.50 now.
Indeed. You were speaking about those commodity cycles earlier, and I'm just wondering, such a great impact from that commodity cycle at the start of the year. We had some contributions to the fiscus, and we're told that basically from government. Mining shares were really taking a high. But I suppose, as I said earlier, Nick, it had to come to an end at some point.
Yeah, unfortunately it did. As you rightly pointed out, they've contributed a lot to the fiscus. In fact, I don't think they could have written that 20 or 30 billion rand check after the looting in July if it wasn't for what the miners contributed to the fiscus. But look at some of that. If you strip back the surface, Devan, look at some of those commodity prices. Rhodium was $30,000. It's now under 10. I mean, that is dropped by 2/3. Look at closer to home, look at platinum, palladium. They're all significantly down. Iron ore, Kunze paid out a record dividend a couple of weeks ago and a special dividend. And that iron ore price was $220. This morning in China, it was trading at 110. So that is exactly halved. So I don't know the next set of earnings where these numbers are going to filter through or if we're going to bounce back. But I think we're going to feel the knock-on effect of this commodity sell-off. It's been quite brutal the last month.
Look, not much coming out from the companies. We did have first Rand release annual results today. And look, the profits were looking quite good. But again, Nick, they did come off a low base looking at what happened with COVID last year. But I would think the results pretty reasonable, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, don't want to be all doom and gloom on the show. No, those first round results were actually pretty impressive. They, what I liked about the things like return on equity, they were looking for 16%, came in at 18.5%. Big jump in headline earnings, as you said, off a low base, but nevertheless, they were still very impressive numbers. Even their operation that they've got up and running in the United Kingdom now, also turning into a profit too. So you just imagine if we get a little bit of normality back in the years to come, and South Africa doesn't grow at an anemic 2%, and maybe we get 3 or 4% growth. Something like First Rand is really nicely positioned. I actually thought they were very impressive numbers across every single line item they beat.
As you say, good to have some good news there. Well, Nick Kunze from Sanlam Private Wealth, thanks very much indeed for giving us your insights. We'll just take a quick